All right, welcome. This is our pre-nursing application overview workshop. Everybody's already signed in with their names and access IDs. So we're just going to go ahead and get started. So first and foremost, we're going to introduce ourselves. My name is Desmond Mack. I am one half of the pre-nursing advising team here, and I'm going to be presenting today. And along with me is my esteemed colleague, Helen
My
Wilson.
name is Helen Wilson. I'm the other half of the pre-nursing advising team.
Awesome. So we're going to be working together to go over the application process for applying to our nursing school here. And we're kind of just going to go back and forth a little bit, handing off a couple different things and breaking down the entire process of how to apply and what you can expect. We're also going to do a small demonstration of a live overview of the application, what it looks like inside and what you can expect once you get in. So just to kind of go through the agenda and break down how this session is going to go, the first thing that we're going to do is talk about the actual application components that are going to be needed to apply to the program, what you should be checking for, what you should have ready to go when it's time for you to apply. Now, we're not going to go into the specifics and the details of what makes the application competitive. We do that in a different workshop known as our pre-nursing essential session, which if you haven't attended yet, you should definitely go because this is not going to teach you that. All right, this workshop is designed specifically for students who are ready to apply and want to know exactly how to apply to our program properly. But in the application components, it's going to break down to the prerequisite courses. So we're going to talk about what that looks like in regard to the application. What does your prereqs look like? How do you get them into the system? The timing of that. Then we're also going to talk about your nursing essay responses, which again, how to actually upload those, what to do in relation to the application. We're not going to talk about what to write on those essays or how to write those essays. There's another separate workshop for that as well, which is our essay writing workshop, which if you haven't attended, you should definitely do so. After we go over the specific components and what you should expect once you get into the application, then we're going to go through an actual website flow checklist to show you exactly what steps you need to take once you're online on the website, what pages to click, what buttons to click, and what you should expect as you navigate your way through the application portal. And last, but certainly not least, we're going to go over the actual timeline. So how long does it take for you to apply? When should you expect to hear something? And then how long the program is after that. And we'll save some time for questions at the end. All right, so Helen, I was thinking I'd take the first half, and then I'll just toss it to you, and whenever you feel comfortable, you can,
Okay.
jump in.
Okay.
All right, let's do it. So the first thing to talk about are the application components. So there are three pieces of the application that are actually used in your competitiveness that you need to make sure you have ready to go when you apply. The first one is going to be the prerequisites, aka the coursework and the GPA from those. Again, not going over what those prereqs are and the details, but things that you should know in relation to the application are: number one, degreeworks.wayne.edu can assist you in confirming that all of your prereqs are here at Wayne State University, right? So again, if you've taken your classes at Wayne, if you've taken all your prereqs at Wayne the entire time, you do not need to send transcripts to the nursing school or to the university again, because it's already here at the university. Some of you will see that on the application, it's going to ask you to send your transcripts to upload your prereqs so that they can begin getting confirmed on the page. You don't necessarily need to do that if they're already here at Wayne. Also, if you did take prereqs outside of Wayne State University as a transfer student, if you've already sent them prior to the winter semester that you're applying or the fall semester that you're applying, depending on what program, if you already sent them in enough time prior, you'll be able to see them on your degree works. If you can see them, even if they're not in the proper space, even if they're in the electives column, that indicates that we have them at Wayne State, they're on file, and you do not need to resend them. It means that the university has them, which means the nursing has them. Another thing to talk about when it comes to prereqs, when you get inside the actual application, you will see the spot that actually lists off the prereqs. It lists off each one of the prerequisite courses individually, and there'll be these red X's next to each one of the prereqs in the application. That can be really alarming for students. right? Because you're like, hey, you told me my stuff was already here. I didn't need to send anything. Do I need to press another button? What's going on? Do not freak out. Okay. They take time to confirm them. The actual confirmation of the prereqs will not start occurring until late May, early June. All right. So usually what we talk to students about is give it a good week or so past the June 1st deadline before you start to see any of those red X's turn into green check marks. Okay. If you haven't seen anything by then, you can reach out to the program just to make sure that everything's okay. But prior to that, do not panic. They take time. An individual in the College of Nursing has to go through each one of your transcripts to make sure that your prereqs are verified before they can actually check the grade checkmark. Last thing to really note when it comes to the prereqs and grades inside the application, they maybe begin to start to turn green, but prior to applying, there's a form you're going to get in the application called the prerequisite verification form. This form you're going to write in exactly what grade you got next to each one of the prereqs. This is how you're going to tell them that you finished the class before you finish the class. Two things to note about that. Number one, if you're already still in a class before you apply, right? So for our traditional students, the application is due May 1st, but some people's class don't finish until May 5th, right? If you're still in progress with the class, but you need to turn the form in before your actual grade finishes, no worries. Just write that you're in progress for the grade, right? INPR or not available, right? NA. They understand when you write the semester that you're taking it, they understand that you're still in progress with that course. So they're going to wait on the grade. Remember, grades are not due until June 1st for traditional programs. And the application is due May 1st. So there's tons of time for the grade to come in, even though you're turning in the form and everything earlier for the grade. Same thing for accelerated CD2 or VBSN students, right? If your application is due before your grade in the class will finish, simply put that is in progress on the prerequisite verification form. Additionally, when it comes to the grades, you should know in advance, offhand estimates and calculations, whether or not your prerequisite GPA is a 3.0 or higher. It needs to be a 3.0 minimum for you to be accepted. They will tally this up when they actually go through and turn your red X's to green check marks. And they will let you know whether or not it is a 3.0 and whether or not you will be able to continue forward with applying. You want to calculate this based solely on grades in the prereqs, except the math. This is for our traditional students. Except the quantitative experience. That does not factor into the actual GPA. Any AP, IB credits, or CLEP exams, those also do not factor into the GPA. It's only solid grades. Helen, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to the coursework GPA area, or I'll keep moving.
I can't think of anything right now. It's just, take your time when filling out the application. Remember, we're here to answer questions. Nursinginfo@wayne.edu can answer questions too, if you have them. So just know that we're all here to help.
There we are. All right, so second thing you want to think about when it comes to application components are the volunteer hours. So these are the second thing that you need to have done and completed by the time you apply for your deadline, whichever program you're in. 10 hours is what's required for the volunteer hours. Again, we're not going to get into the details of exactly what those hours are or what's accepted. We talk about that in our essentials workshop. So make sure you go to one of those if you want to know more about it. But there is a form that you must download and have whoever is over you, supervising you at the hours, or whoever you're shadowing, you want to have them sign it, and you're going to re-upload it into your application. So there'll be a portion inside the application where you can browse your desktop and select that file and attach that document. You can get the document outside of the application on the nursing website, or you can simply get it from inside the actual nursing application. Either way, you want to download that form. There's going to be some space for you to fill out and talk about what you did. And then you want to get someone who is in a supervisory role in connection to your hours to sign and confirm that you've done those hours. Then you're going to simply attach it as a document into your application. Right. So let's round it off with application components. Number 3, the nursing essay responses. So after you already written your drafts and then rewrote them and then met with me and Helen, got them proofread from the WRT zone, and you got your finalized competitive essays, now it's time to put them in the actual application. So before the deadline of your application, you're going to go into the app. There'll be a link that says the nursing essays. You're going to click that link and it'll take you to a separate page. It's going to have 4 text boxes. You're going to then copy and paste the text from wherever you have it already stored on your computer, whether it's Microsoft Word, Google Docs, whatever you actually stowed your responses. You're going to copy that text, paste it into these text boxes. Because in here is where it'll actually be able to, it's a lot easier for the program to count your word limit. Remembers 250 word maximum, and they're very serious about that. So you're going to be able to copy and paste that in there, make sure it's already proofread, already set to go as you paste it there. Now, there is a document that you can have, a downloadable PDF that you can download outside the application from the website to practice writing your responses into each one of those separate boxes. You can upload this file into the application as well, just as a fail-safe from copying and pasting the text inside the link. But most important thing, make sure you copy and paste that text inside the link on the application, because that's where they're primarily going to be looking for your essays. The PDF and upload is just a fail, it's just a backup, just a fail-safe. You're going to want to copy it into the text box. And again, we're going to go live in this, so we're going to show you what it looks like inside, everything that we're talking about. But just wanted to make sure I pointed that out there. Right. You can jump in any moment if you want. Listen.
I was just gonna say that I'm getting questions about, how about doing more than 10 hours? Would that look better? And actually, it's not gonna look any better. They're not gonna give you extra points if you have additional hours. So while you may think that's great, and that is great that you've gotten all that experience, just to be clear that they just require the actual 10 hours. And then with the nursing essay responses, remember, if you're ready to upload it, you've already showed it to other people. Maybe we've already giving you some feedback with our appointments. But if you haven't done that yet, just remember, we're here again to help you and give you feedback.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right. So now let's go through the actual process of navigating the application. So we've got a couple of bullet points, a written kind of one-step process to take you through the entire portal of applying to the application. Then I'm going to show you some screenshots, and then we're going to take you live with it. So here's a quick one-page snapshot of step-by-step instructions on how to actually apply for the College of Nursing. So first thing first, it is an online application. You're going to visit the nursing.wayne.edu website. And on that homepage, you're going to click on the apply button. So there are 3 buttons on the homepage, and I'll show you this when we go live. But on one of them is going to say apply. You're going to click that page. It'll take you to a new page, and with a ton of information on it. You're going to look on the left-hand side of that page, and there'll be a couple options of apply. You're going to look for the one that says apply now, right? You want the now application. And then after that, it's going to take you to yet another page. You're going to have a ton of information on it. This information on that page, after you read it, is pretty much just going to break down the timeline and give you some contact information. So what do we mean by timeline? Basically, it's going to tell you exactly how long the app is open, when is the deadline, so when will that application block, and submit everything inside the application. So it's giving you your timeline from the time you start it to when it's going to actually lock and submit off into the nursing program. So after that page, you're going to enter the application term and type. So term essentially would just be which semester you're applying, and then the type of nursing program, which you can either do traditional or accelerated second degree, also known as our CD2 nursing program, or our military veterans Bachelor of Science in Nursing program, aka our VBSN nursing program. So those are the 3 types of options that you can choose from this page as your apply. After you've done that, you're then going to enter a little bit of demographic information about yourself on that same page as you're entering what type of program is going to ask for your name and birth date and a couple of different things there. It's also going to ask you if you have any military affiliation. Often like to tell our students, unless you are applying for the VBSN program, it's not pertinent to enter any of that information into the system unless you are applying for our military nursing program. After you've entered all that information in the term and told us exactly what application you want to apply for, you're going to hit submit. Okay. One thing that before you hit submit, though, that I want to make sure to mention is it's going to ask you for your email address. Here's a big thing to remember. Use your Wayne State email address. It's going to make it very easy for them to then connect your application to your actual account when they're looking for your transcripts to verify your pre-reqs. Okay, so use your Wayne State email address, that's your access ID at wayne.edu. After you do that, you hit submit. Don't be alarmed because the next page is going to say, thank you for applying to Wayne State University College of Nursing. Thank you for your application. And you're going to go, wait, I haven't submitted my hours. I haven't submitted my essay, right? But don't fret. Okay, this is only the first part, the first half of the application. So what you're going to do is after you submit it, you're going to wait for anywhere up to 8 to 12 hours for an email from the College of Nursing. This email will then give you a portal to the second half of the application, the actual portal of the application. And here's where you'll be able to upload things, see your progress. This is the portal that we were talking about earlier. In order to get to it, though, you have to follow these steps and submit the first half, right? And whatever email you use, which is hopefully your Wayne State one, is where you'll get the email for the second part of the application. And then we will go from there on what you do next.
I can't think of anything to add.
All right.
Sounds good.
No worries. But yeah, so I'm going to show you a couple of screenshots now of exactly what it'll look like as we navigate through these steps, just to put some visuals to the things that we're talking about. And then I'll take you live inside the second half of the portal.
And I just want to remind everybody, if you do have questions as we're going along, just write them in the chat.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so as I mentioned before, this is the first page that you will see after you've navigated through the apply and then click the apply now. You'll be taken to this page here where it talks about some information about the program, a couple of the deadlines, and then some contact information. Now, these deadlines are actually a little outdated. The deadlines will change from year to year, so you will see a different timeline whenever it is that you're watching this video and that you're applying, right? But it's just letting you know. So these are important deadlines to remember, so you know exactly when things are due and when's the last to apply to things. After you leave that page, as I mentioned before, it's going to ask you for some specific personal information. So you're going to be putting your name, your birthday, numbers, and your email address, which I mentioned is the most important to use your Wayne State email if possible, which should be for everyone because you have to be admitted to Wayne State first before you apply to the nursing program, even if you are coming from an outside institution. Use that there. Also, this is also where I like to tell you all, this is not my actual birthday. I just use it here. Okay, it's the date I like. All right. Then we're going to scroll down the page a little bit more, and you'll see the sections about military affiliation and the specific program that you're planning to apply to. In this example, I clicked the BSN traditional program, right? But you could be choosing the VBSN program or the CD2 program, depending on when you want to apply. And after you do that, you're going to go ahead and hit submit, as I mentioned. Once you do, this is the page to be wary of, right? So you get this page. When you see this page, do not freak out. All right. Nobody freak out. You'll all be fine. This is just saying that you submitted the first half, right? And if you read forward and it says next steps, you're going to get an email with the login steps to get into the actual application portal. And that way you can go in and begin to upload the actual components of your application. It also talks again about official transcripts. Remember, this is only for classes that you don't already have on file here at Wayne State. You've already sent your transcript, or you were always a student here. You don't have to resend your transcripts to Wayne State. They already have them. Okay. Now I'm going to give you a little bit of a sneak peek into what the email will show when you get it. Right. So here's a screenshot of the email. Once you get it, it's going to give you some information. Again, it's going to hit you again with those deadlines and official transcripts. So a lot of the same information replicated. But the key here is the second sentence, right? I don't know if you guys can see my mouse, but you may access your application checklist through your application status page. This blue hyperlinked thing inside of your email is how you connect to the actual application status page. The key components, though, are your login details. So it's going to be whatever email you use, which again should be your Wayne State email, and it's going to give you a temporary pin, right? So it's going to give you this random temporary pin. You're going to use that for your first login, and then you'll be able to update it to your own password, because you will be able to enter and leave out of this portal as much as you want up until it locks on the deadline. So to kind of give you a visual of that too. The first time you go in, it's going to ask you for a temporary PIN. It's going to ask you for your email, and it's going to ask you for your birth date, whatever birth date you put into the system. Again, not my birthday. And so you're going to log that in, and then you'll be able to create a new password from there, where you'll be able to log in as much as you like. Any questions in the chat, Heather?
I don't see any right now.
Okay. All right. So without further ado, let's go live. Okay, let's actually get a look at what happens when I click this login button. So I'm going to do a new share, and we're going to actually go into the application. Something. What was there? One moment.
It's not letting you share.
Yes. Still a little bit. There we go. Can we see it?
I can see it.
All right. So, ta-da, we got it. A little technical difficulty there, but we got it, guys. So we're in the secondary application portal. Once you get in, this is what it's going to look like, right? It's going to show you your application type over here, secondary application. In this app, I clicked for the BSN second career degree app. If you click traditional, that's fine. It's going to show traditional, right? It's still going to look very, very similar. A lot of information over here. So it's going to tell you exactly what you're missing, what all you still need, right? This form you can ignore. It's for WSU employees. Even if you are a WSU employee, you shouldn't have to fill out this form. But the biggest thing is it's awaiting my payment, right? The application costs a $50 fee to apply to our nursing school. So you want to make sure you click there to pay that, right? The next thing is you're gonna be able to go down and actually go through a checklist. So here's your community service form. You can click there. I don't know if it's still showing over here, but you can actually see the health related service form that I was talking about before. You're going to fill this stuff out. You get a signature. You can download it that way, right? We're going to go back. Your essay form. This is the link that I was telling you about before. You want to make sure you click here, because it'll take you to this page where it's going to show you these text boxes. You want to copy and paste in here and actually count your words, so you'll know whether or not you're over 250 words, which you definitely do not want to be. Okay. And it has all your information there, and you're going to hit submit. So this is how they'll actually get your essay questions. You want to copy and paste them into these boxes and hit submit. When you go back again, here's that prerequisite verification form I was speaking about, right? You're going to fill this out, and then you're going to make sure that you put the grades in. If you're still in the class, you're just going to put INPR. And again, you're going to put the current semester that you're taking. Then we'll scroll back down. Down here, you can see some more information on things. This is not where you actually submit stuff. These are just instructions and information for you. For the first two, for the community service form and the prerequisite verification form, remember, those are downloadable forms. So for those, you're going to make sure that you go down here to where it says upload materials. You're going to do the drop down, and it will say CD prerequisite verification form. It's going to say nurse community service form. It'll also say passport, and it might even say test materials. Ignore that. Okay, you don't need to upload your passport, don't need any test materials. Some people I've seen say high school transcripts, ignore those things. You don't need those. You
Yeah,
do need.
that's the question I have in the chat
Yeah.
about how to upload.
Yeah, so you're gonna go down here to upload materials. You're gonna click this and you're gonna choose a file. So you're gonna go to your desktop and you'll upload that file that you've already filled out.
Okay.
Same for their community service form. But
So
again,
you can do either one, it sounds like.
one more time, Ellen?
You can upload your whole thing, like if you have it ready to go, or you could just type into the essay. You could like cut and paste into the essay. Sounds like you could do either one.
Nope. You need to do this for the essay. The what you upload is the community service form and the prerequisite verification form.
Oh, okay. So you
Essay.
only upload those two. You have to cut and paste your answers from your document into the essay form.
Right. Some students had asked if you wanted to, could you upload your essay as a document? Technically, you could as a
Okay.
as a
But it's really the other two you're uploading.
Right.
Okay.
The other two, for sure, you upload the essay you want to click and copy and paste. You could upload the essay as a backup just to make sure it's there if you want to be safe. But you absolutely have to put it into this form here, which will take you to this page where you copy and paste.
Okay.
That's the-
Now, I do have another question about how long does it take to see this app status page?
Yeah, so that's going to be again, when you get the email, you want to wait after you submit the first half of the application portal. You are going to want to wait anywhere from, like I said, anywhere from 8 hours to 12 hours to receive that email. 8 to 12 hours is a good window. Honestly, most people get it within minutes. Okay, it usually comes right after you submit. Within 5 to 10 minutes, you're getting the email to get your PIN and the things that we went through to.
So within a few minutes.
Yeah, it's usually within a few minutes. Worst case scenario, maximum is 12 hours.
Okay.
All right. Now, this is what I was talking about at the beginning of the workshop when I said your prereqs will be there and there'll be these red X's or red awaitings, as you can see here, right? These, again, do not panic. This is going to take some time to have these turn from awaiting to confirmed or green check marks. It's going to take time. Give it at least a week or so past the deadline of whatever your application timeline entails, which is what we're going to go over next. By the way, we're going to talk about each one of the different timelines for each one of the programs.
When should you be panicking if you don't see green checks?
Anytime after about a week after your day.
Okay.
Yeah, if you haven't seen at least one of these turn.
I mean, we hope students don't panic, but
Yeah, not panic. Yeah, like when should you think maybe I'll reach out to somebody? It should be anytime after that.
later in May.
Later, right. So yeah, so just give these time. Do not panic about them at all. But if it does happen to be a long time after the application closes for the specific grades, right, then you might want to reach out. And so how do you reach out? A lot of students think you would reach out to me or myself or Helen, but unfortunately, this is where we gently begin to hand you off into the actual nursing program. So because we don't have access to this portal of yours, it's all individualized for each student. So if you do have some questions about your application, once you've gotten to this point, there's a built-in chat feature here that directs you to someone in college of nursing where you can ask questions here, or if you want to, have that human interaction or a more direct approach, there's the actual contact information for the advisors over there, which will either be Brittany or Amanda. But then there's also nursinginfo@wayne.edu, which will kind of ding a lot of different people if you want.
Yeah, that was the question in the chat, was should they use that box, because the student was writing about, where it says questions, or should they email the advisor or nursing info? They were asking which one.
Yeah. So right, you can use nursing info or you can use this box right here. I mean, they're both really good. They're both going to be direct and they're both going to get you to the person that can work with you. So yeah, definitely do that. But yeah, so as you see listed here, this is what you're going to get when you get in. Make sure you go through all these essays are going to be put in this link. The other two will be downloaded and uploaded. And then you just give yourself some time for these to turn green. And On the deadline of your application, this page will lock. So you can enter and exit and log out and log in as much as you want up into that deadline, right? As you can see, those timelines are listed here. It just really depends on which program you're going into. All right. So with that being said, I'm gonna jump back into the PowerPoint and talk about the timeline so you can know exactly when things will lock on you and how long you should expect before reaching out for questions and things like that. Was there anything in the chat or anything you wanted to add, Helen, before I jump back?
No, I think I've asked all the questions I see in the chat.
Okay. Well, let's do it then. We're gonna do a new share. Go back to the PowerPoint. How are we looking?
Good, good.
So let's jump into the timelines. So the application timelines. So there are different timelines for the different types of nursing programs that we have. Let's start off at the top with the traditional BSN. So the traditional Bachelor of Science in Nursing, as I mentioned, it opens in September and closes every May 1st. So our application process here at Wayne State is we only have one application cycle for our nursing students. For each of our programs, it's only one time a year, but it is a static application. It's not rolling. So what do I mean by that? What we mean is it opens in September and it closes in May, but they're not necessarily concerned about when you create this portal, right? When you go and do all the things we've shown today and get access to your application portal, doesn't matter. They're not tracking who opens it up first or who does all this stuff first. It has no impact on your application. What matters is everything properly uploaded and copied and pasted inside? Is everything done by May 1st? Right? That's the thing. So it's going to lock on May 1st, and it's going to be looking for your essays to be copied and pasted. It's going to be looking for your community service form to be uploaded, your prerequisite verification form to be uploaded by May 1st, and your $50 fee. Okay. There's an additional deadline with the traditional BSN specifically of June 1st. There's two deadlines to think about if you're doing traditional. So there's May 1st for all things except grades. And then there's June 1st specifically for grades, right? So that's why I said it takes a little longer for your red awaitings to turn into green confirmed, because they're giving you an extra month for your classes to finish and then transfer up into the system, right? So again, if it's May 3rd and everything else is turned green, but your prereqs still say waiting, do not freak out, right? You want to give yourself some time because it doesn't even close until June 1st. So I would say give it at least a week or two even after that, right? So somewhere around June 14th, June 10th, June 14th to see if they're starting to turn to green, right? So give it some time. The other programs have different deadlines. So the accelerated second degree nursing program and the BSN for veterans program opens in September or in August as well, but they actually close on February 15th. So those programs are a little bit different. They have their own requirements, which again, if you want to learn about, come to our pre-nursing essentials workshop. And so those programs have their own separate requirements, but they close on the 15th of February. Now, with those programs, with the accelerated BSN program, that one actually has both a application deadline and a grades transcripts deadline. So both need to be in and uploaded to the system by February 15th. Okay, again, give them some time to process those. So from going from awaiting to green confirmed, give them a couple of weeks after the 15th, but they will turn eventually in that time. Military veterans, the application will close will close February 15th, excuse me. And that is for all of your things that you need to upload into the portal. They do give you until, however, the June 1st for the grade. So they share, the VBSN is a little tricky, right? It shares the closing of the application portal with accelerated, but you do have until June 1st for the grades, right? If you're in any of the classes. Again, none of these programs are rolling admissions, meaning they're not going to make any admissions decisions prior to the closing of the application. So when you apply does not matter. when you actually go in and make this app, does not matter as long as it's done before the deadlines listed for each individual program. The actual dates that they announce whether or not you've got admitted for the traditional program is July 1st. Okay. And then for the accelerated and VBSN programs, it's actually in March. It's usually the final week of March. That date can vary from year to year, but it's usually the final week of March is when they're going to announce it. Any questions?
The question in the chat is, will they let me know anytime sooner than July 1st?
They will not.
Okay,
They're pretty tight on that deadline. So it won't go any later, but it also probably won't go any earlier. Great question. Okay. Well, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and close it out. This has been the application walkthrough overview for all of the nursing programs here at Wayne State University. We also always like to make sure we do a shameless plug. Thank you all for coming out. We want to make sure you do a shameless plug to stay up to date on all the other workshops that we do. As you've heard me announce them throughout this workshop. Follow us on social media at WSU Free Health. We've got Instagram, we've got Twitter, got YouTube, where you may be even watching this video. So thank you for your time. I'm Desmond Mack, and with my colleague Kelly Wilson.
I do see one more question. What if I don't get in? How do I think about things? What do I do?
Well, yeah, that's a really good question. That is something that you should reach out to me and or Helen Wilson to discuss. We also have some workshops helping with that usually run in our summer semester, known as I Applied Now What. Should definitely make sure to attend one of those workshops where we will talk about the different options or things you can do to prepare for that. I'll go ahead and give you the spoiler. Parallel plan major, right? So all of you have probably been hearing about it since day one. And this is the time to work on that parallel plan. You should already be registered for those parallel plan classes for the fall, just in case we don't get in, and we can pivot to that parallel plan, come back and still go to nursing in the future. But we'll tell you how all that works and how you can do it. Come on to that workshop. I Applied Now. I Applied Now What, or appointments with me or Helen.
I see a lot of thank you for this information in the chat.
Oh yeah, no problem. Couldn't get in without Helen. That's all. All right.
Well, thank you all for coming. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. I stop the recording.